How she stole his youth with a sniff. In the small, sleepy town of Boley, Oklahoma, there lived an 80-year-old black woman named Laretha. Laretha was known for her particular habit of taking long, hard sniffs of young men who wore fine cologne. She'd often be seen sitting on her porch, her sharp eyes scanning the streets for her next olfactory delight. Laretha had always been fascinated by scents. As a young woman, she worked in a perfume shop where she developed a keen sense of smell. But as she grew older, her fascination turned into obsession. She found herself drawn to the scent of young men, particularly those who wore expensive cologne. There was something about the combination of youth and fine fragrance that captivated her. One crisp autumn day, a young man named Booker walked past Laretha's house. He was new to Boley and had recently moved there for a job at the local bank. Booker was handsome, with chiseled jawlines and a confident stride. He wore a suit and cologne that left a trail of sophistication in his wake. As Booker walked by, Laretha's nose twitched. She inhaled deeply and savored the scent. Ah, what a delightful fragrance, she murmured to herself. Unable to resist, she called him out. Young man, would you mind coming over here for a moment? Booker, taken aback by the request, hesitated but then approached the old woman. Yes, ma'am. How can I help you? Laretha smiled, her eyes gleaming with an unsettling intensity. I couldn't help but notice your cologne. It's simply divine. May I take a closer sniff? Booker chuckled nervously. Laretha leaned in and took a long, hard sniff, closing her eyes as she did so. Mmm, she said, her voice almost a purr. Thank you, young man. You've made my day. Booker smiled awkwardly and continued on his way, but as he walked away, he felt a strange sensation. It was as if a part of him had been taken, leaving him feeling slightly hollow. Over the next few days, Booker began to notice changes. He felt weaker and more tired, and his once vibrant energy seemed to be draining away. His colleagues at the bank commented on his coloring and lack of enthusiasm. Booker couldn't understand what was happening. Over the next few days, Booker began to notice changes. He felt weaker and more tired, and his once vibrant energy seemed to be draining away. Meanwhile, Laretha was feeling more invigorated than she had in years. Her once frail body seemed to be gaining strength, and her mind felt sharp. She reveled in her newfound vitality, but she knew it wouldn't last. She needed more. As the weeks went by, more young men in Boley began to experience similar symptoms. They would walk past Laretha's house and she would take her long, hard sniffs, sometimes even complimenting them on their cologne. Those who received her compliments suffered even worse fates. They would fall ill, their health deteriorating rapidly, and some even disappeared without a trace. The town was in a state of panic. Rumors spread about a curse, and people began to avoid Laretha's house. But Laretha was cunning. She would venture out at night, seeking out her prey in the shadows, always drawn to the scent of youth and fine cologne. One night, Booker, Now, a shadow of his former self decided to confront Laretha. He had pieced together the connection between his declining health and his encounter with the old woman. Desperate to reclaim his vitality, he approached her house under the cover of darkness. Laretha was sitting on her porch, as usual, her eyes closed as she would savor the night air. Booker stepped forward, his voice trembling with anger and fear. "What have you done to me?" Laretha opened her eyes and smiled. "Ah, Booker, I was wondering when you would come back. You see, I have a gift. I can absorb the essence of youth through scent. It keeps me alive, keeps me strong." And in horror, you stole my life. Laretha shrugged. "I only take what is given freely. You allowed me to sniff you, did you not?" Booker clenched his fists. "How do I get it back?" Laretha's smile faded. "There is a way, but it's not easy. You must retrieve a rare flower called the nightshade bloom. It grows deep in the forest, guarded by creatures of the night. Bring it to me, and I will return your essence." Desperate and determined, Booker set off into the forest. The journey was perilous, filled with eerie sounds and unseen dangers. But he pressed on, driven by the hope of reclaiming his life. After hours of searching, he found the nightshade bloom, its petals glowing with an otherworldly light. He carefully plucked the flower and made his way back to Laretha's house. Laretha took the flower from him, her eyes gleaming with anticipation. She crushed the petals in her hands and inhaled deeply. A strange light enveloped her, and she began to transform. Her wrinkles smoothed out, her hair darkened, her frail body became youthful once more. Booker felt a surge of energy as his essence was returned to him. He watched in awe and horror as Laretha, now a young woman, stood before him. "Thank you, Booker," she said. Her voice was now smooth and melodic. "You have given me a new lease on life." Booker backed away, his heart pounding. "What will you do now?" Laretha smiled. "I will leave this town and start anew. But remember, the scent of youth is a powerful thing. Be careful who you let close." With that, she disappeared into the night, leaving Booker to ponder the strange and terrifying encounter. The town of Bolay slowly returned to normal, but the memory of Laretha and her sinister habit lingered. The young men who suffered at her hands never forgot the lesson they had learned. Sometimes the most innocent seeming pleasures can hide the darkest of secrets. Activate that Learn More button and learn more about Bolay, Oklahoma. Like, share, subscribe. Add a little comment too while you're at it. Thank you.